everybody, and welcome back to this special early edition of the Happy Hour. I'm your host, Jeff Fagan, and today we have a very special guest on the show. So, Lani Neumann is not only a producer, a director, she runs her own production company and is linked to Diego and I in a very special way. We actually all met on set of this show called Bert The Conqueror back in 2010, if you can believe it or not. And, it was very special for me because it was the first job I had on set as a PA. And Diego was actually working too as talent. He was one of the judges in this episode, which basically centered around wakeboarding. But it was a very special time in my life because I was at a crossroads where I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was really into filmmaking, but I was going to school for business. And it basically transitioned my thought and my process of what career path I wanted to take into filmmaking, and is part of the roots in what I chose to end up doing as a DP, as a filmmaker, as a creator. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Diego and Lani, and let's talk a little bit about how we met. And here we go. Lani, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Oh my gosh, it's such an honor to see you guys.
It's so great to see you.
It feels like it couldn't have been 2010, but you're right. It was 2010.
Time flies. Time flies. They say time flies when you're having fun, and I think we've all been busy and having a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Diego, what do you remember about when we did Bert the Conqueror?
Well, this is like the first time I see Lani in at least like 10 years. Besides social media, we were just talking about it, but what I do remember is that day was very windy. It was freezing. We were out at Ski Ricks, and that was my home turf. And basically, this production company decided to come do one of the episodes that was for Bert's show. That was where he would go to locations and just do wild stuff, go on a roller coaster, try to do wakeboarding, and just a goofy character. And that's where I met Lani. She was directing the whole thing, and they had me teach Bert how to wakeboard, which was really funny. He's just a goofy character, and it was just a really good interaction. You were great. It was fun. It didn't seem like work for me. It was like we were hanging out, and I was just teaching somebody new how to ride. So that was a really cool experience, and excited to see what you're doing nowadays, what you're getting into. And this, I've just been telling you virtual directing and stuff. So I'm excited to kind of hear about that, and you can emphasize on it a bit.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I remember that day. You guys were amazingly easy to work with. It was seamless. We showed up early. There was so many pieces. I think people don't realize actually how many pieces go into a TV show. And I know there were times where it must have felt like you're waiting forever to be on camera or whatever. But I remember that you took very good care of Bert. I do remember he ate it so hard.
Yep.
Wakeboarding, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I remember we had this great bite from him calling it like a neti pot. Like if you ever wanted to like get your sinus, like when he would just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely had a sinus flush.
Yeah. And you guys are so helpful. And Jeff, I love hearing that this kind of helped your like career path, because I think
absolutely.
We traveled around the country for 2 seasons. We shot 26 episodes, and we would always bring on local people to help. And I know a lot of the local people, I follow them, and they're all doing magnificent things. And it's so inspiring to me to see how, people have started as a PA and are now doing, Steadicam or directing or DPing like yourself, or so many different things. And so it's
absolutely.
Yeah. And Diego, you were so good. You were so easy on camera. You weren't camera shy at all. It was fantastic. You were kind of the perfect, like, cool to Bert's, crazy, like, what am I about to do right now kind of thing.
It
was a dream to shoot with you guys. And
it was a great process. I mean, especially working with Bert, for someone who's, I don't think he ever wakeboarded before, right? That was his first time ever. Yeah. So it was a breeze to work with him. He was so nice. You don't really expect that on a TV show. You think someone's going to come out there and they're going to be very bossy, and he was just really cool. Everyone on the set was cool and easy to work with, and that was what made it so interesting.
Yeah, I think we prided ourselves on that. And Bert, is Bert. So
Mhm.
there's no
Mhm.
act. That's
Yeah.
him. And
Yeah.
if you followed him, he's freakishly, I mean, he calls it the Mickey Mantle gene, that he has a
Mm.
Mickey Mantle gene. Like, he is, for someone of his physical attributes, he is incredibly athletic.
Mhm.
Like, believe it
Interesting.
or, you wouldn't necessarily assume it, but he would, if he was on here, he would say, he would agree. He's incredibly athletic for, and so, but regardless, he's fun. It's fun. It had to be fun, and it should be
Mhm.
fun. And if you're in this business, it should be fun. And if it's
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
fun, I mean, that's why everyone gets into this, I
Mhm.
think, right? Like, or whatever it is you do, if no one is forcing you to get into production, right?
Yeah.
Like, you might be
Yeah.
forced into accounting or doctors or whatever,
Mhm.
business, as you said. But if you're doing production, hopefully you love it.
Absolutely. So do you remember, I don't know if you specifically chose wakeboarding as his activity, but do you remember why they chose wakeboarding as one of his shtigs for that episode?
Um, yes, I don't, I'm sure it was for the high probability of wipeouts. Because nothing is
Great.
funnier, and it's true, nothing is
Uh-huh.
funnier than watching someone eat it,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't care if you watch it online or whatever you watch it, ridiculousness, whatever, like,
Mhm.
those shows are Jackass, like, they're amazing
Very
because it's
exciting. It's
so
a weird
funny.
experience where you're like, oh my god,
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. There's something primal about watching another human being
fail,
just,
fail at something.
yeah, fail as hard as they can.
Yeah,
So
no, that totally makes sense now.
yeah, it was perfect. We were like, this is it. And also, we were hoping he wouldn't get hurt, and he didn't. So that
Mhm.
was, you know, amazing. Physically hurt. Maybe his pride was hurt, but physically he wasn't hurt. So yeah, it was a good time.
So tell me a little bit about, so how did you get started in filmmaking? What was your path that kind of led you to where we are now?
Okay, so great question. I went to film school. So,
Mhm.
there's a million different thoughts about if it's worth it or not, but
Mhm.
I went, and it just helped me realize, like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do. Um, and then I was in San Francisco, which there's not a ton of work. So
Mhm.
I just hustled, and then I uh, came to New York on my birthday to party my face off for my birthday weekend. And didn't know it, but I met my future husband in some dive bar.
No,
And 9 months later, I was living in New York, and we were together. We got married a year later. And so I was in New York, and I was like, this is it. This is the time to really, like, make this dream come true, put my degree. And so
Mhm.
I just hustled. I truly hustled, and was very lucky to just kind of get in as a PA, then move up, did free
Mhm.
work. Like, I did all the legit, stuff they tell you to do. And if you're
Yeah,
good
yeah.
enough, you don't stay at free very long.
Right.
That's my reality. And I think it's my reality with
Mhm.
anyone I've ever worked with. If they've come on a job for free for me and they're good, they're
Mhm.
not going to stay free more than a
Right.
gig or two. So then I
Mhm.
worked my way up, and I truly got so excited. Bert was one of my first directing jobs.
Mhm.
nice.
Wow.
And I think
Wow,
it was
you were so good at it. You were so good at it. Like, I would never have known.
thank you. Well, Bert truly, he's a huge talent. If you guys don't know Bert Kreischer, Google him, the audience. He's got a million Netflix specials, and he went on to have like 2 more Travel Channel shows after Bert the Conqueror. He's a huge talent, and working with him was like the best for my first gig, because we just taught each other so much, and he's very generous, and he's very
Mhm.
good, and he just, it made it easy. But what was hard, yes, was all those stunts and all the rigging. As
Mhm.
you can imagine, I think Diego and Jeff, did you guys help us with some of the rigging, like where to rig? I know we needed advice.
Yes. Yeah. We you basically, our expertise was where to put the GoPros on, like, on the body, on, the boards themselves. Because I think GoPros were relatively new back then. I mean, they were still great, but they weren't as big as they are now.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
that was hard.
Yeah, when we show up, we don't know like you guys
Mhm.
do. And you guys had already, I'm sure you guys are already filming yourselves. a ton. I think we used a lot of your cameras as well.
Yeah, literally that year was when we started doing a lot of that, because GoPro wasn't big literally until 2010. They started having you were able to get their cameras a lot easier, and they got a lot of a bigger name. But yeah, it was definitely the start of us filming ourselves.
You know, we may have even picked Ski Rixon because we probably saw some Diego videos. I'm not kidding.
During that time, yeah, we did stuff with Telemundo, Univision, and then we had something with West Palm Beach, like the morning channel. We did like a few things. Ski Rixon was a lot of television gigs. So it was because of this.
It could have very well been. I mean, we needed something in Florida, but I'm sure we had producers scanning the internet for cool video footage. And I feel like I feel like I saw some of Diego before we even got there. I'm sure of it. Almost.
Yeah, well, and at that time, wakeboarding wasn't where it is today as far as the amount of cable parks. I'm pretty sure there were just 2 cable parks at that time in Florida.
There was.
So there wasn't a lot of choices.
Very new.
Yeah. I didn't even know if there was a second one. So that's amazing. Yeah. Well, we picked the right one.
Exactly.
We did. But anyway, yeah. And so it just, I think the best thing about, if there's any advice to be made, or to be gleaned from my career path, it's take every job, don't be too good to do something for free.
Absolutely.
In the beginning, but then know your worth once you have experience, know your worth, and don't be afraid to quit a shitty job. So I got to Sharp Entertainment by way of quitting a shitty job. So, it's not career suicide to leave something that is disrespectful or, not human working.
Not great for your career.
Yeah. And it's not good for you, and you won't be at your best performance, and you will show up to set not with the right headset, which will also go against you. So it's just bad. So walk away from those gigs. Don't be afraid that you will find your next gig.
And the one thing you were telling me that you did that I completely agree with is, you can't just get into this filmmaking game and say, I want to be a director or I want to be a DP. You really have to go through the ranks, and you go through the ranks because later on in life, you want to have the experience of all those different jobs, especially if you as a director, you need to know where your strengths and your weaknesses are. And you basically need to hire who's going to fill in for your weaknesses. You need to, if you're not good at, editing, or, you're not good at color correction, or, you're not the best at grip or electric, you need to hire who's going to complement you to bring your strengths up. And it's great to know how those jobs work in order to do those hiring.
Absolutely. And you know what, when I could tell anyone who might be like thinking about PAing, you just get yourself on set. Just get yourself on set, because yes, you'll be able to have those moments where you can watch the director, right? And you can see what they're doing. You can see how the DP has figured it out. How if there is a gaffer who does the lights, what trick did they just use?
It's essentially free film school.
It is. And pay attention. And my other thing as a director, and a producer, if you can anticipate what I need before I need it, even if it's just a coffee or a water, or you're standing at attention,
flow.
Kind of. Then you're money to me. Then money meaning like, oh, I can't live without you. And that's so, if you're waiting to be told something, well, they didn't tell me to do something. Well, then
you're not above average.
It's more work. It's more work for me to have to figure out what to tell you while I'm also directing the show, while I'm also, you know what I mean? So be a quick learner, pay attention, and like save any kind of film school questions though till the end. Not while we're shooting.
It'll interrupt the flow.
Yeah. Wait till rap beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question, Lani. For me, somebody who's not, I speak a lot with Jeff, and we've done a lot of stuff together, like videos, wakeboard movies, and all kinds of stuff like this. But let's say I see the director as the person who kind of leads. It's the leader in making all these different parts and pieces and components come together in an organized fashion, so you guys can produce something that's organized, right? So you can get to your final product. So that's basically what you're saying, right? So you take care of just making sure the flow of all these things, which is the camera guy, this guy, the voice, the lighting is all working. So it's efficient and it delivers, right?
Absolutely. On a smaller set, yes. Like ideally, on like a Bert, for sure, 100%. On a bigger project, there's producers to help, so the director can focus on the talent. Right? Like in a perfect world, in a bigger set, directors should be focusing on talent and the shot, right? With the DP.
Delivering the message, what you want to grasp from this scene, and like what.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, my head should be in the emotion we're trying to create, in the story we're trying to tell. But sometimes you don't have that luxury, and you have to also be concerned about, you know, do we have water? Is this okay? What did we move this car so this guy can get out? Like sometimes it is that way. It's not glamorous. And when people can help you with that so that I can stay in the moment, that's huge. But yeah, but you're right, Diego. The director should be capturing the moment and the story at the end of the day. That's my job. That's my job. So I had to get Wipeout. Yeah. I mean, I had to get Wipeouts for 2.5 years. It was amazing.
That's what I was going to tell you, because when you were directing something that's like the Bird show, that was like adrenaline and like a roller coaster and reactions, there's parts there where it's just improvised. It's just like, listen, you're going to go on that thing, and if you fall and bust your ass, I can't direct that. That's you. Like, that's just natural. That's organic.
Absolutely. Exactly. So you're right. I had to get all the pieces in place so that the magic could happen. And I'm a huge believer in, you can only produce so much, and then you show up and you let the magic happen. You believe in your host, you believe in your crew, you believe in the scenario you've created, and you don't schedule yourself so minute to minute that you don't have time for Bert to be like, oh, I got this idea. Or, you know, because you need those, his ideas are always every single time worth us pursuing, and they were never in our schedule, and yet that's where the magic happens. And you're right, Diego, like, okay, please wipe out. Like, okay, we've set this up perfectly, now please wipe out, right? So and that's exactly it. And I think that's what gives us all the adrenaline rush, and that's what the audience goes, oh my God, it's so good. Is the stuff that is the magic. Right. So like all the other stuff is good and sets it up, and then it's like, oh wow.
No.
And that's the crack that kind of keeps me going back every single time, is that like when you're in the edit and you've got your final piece and you see that magic and you're like, oh, I need to more please.
It's just a big
another wipeout.
A lot of ideas and creativity, just success.
Yeah.
So cool. Very interesting.
So from the travel channel, well, what was your next move once you left working with Bert?
So not long after Bert, I did a show for Oprah's network about cheaters called Unfaithful. Very different. I wanted to do something totally different, and I did. And then I became a mom. So yeah, exactly. So in 2011, my husband and I, we actually adopted our daughter from Tennessee when she was born, the day she was born. And so that was a whole new, like, how do I do this still? And like anything that you have to learn, I just had to make a lot of mistakes, and I just kept thinking I could still do my exact job and be a mom, and that didn't work very well. Yeah, and I just, you know, but I was blessed enough. I produced some. Do you guys remember Made on MTV?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that was my first job after being a mom, was producing a couple Maids at MTV, and then I did a ton of different stuff. And the last big TV directing I did was Say Yes to the Dress.
Very cool.
Yes to the Dress. What was that on?
That is Diego, I can't believe you haven't watched it. It's it's fine. You're not necessarily our demographic, but it's women looking for their ultimate wedding dress at this.
I watched the whole thing. I'm just kidding.
Now you know.
Cool though. That's like something my mom would watch.
Oh my gosh, I bet you if you ask her, she's watched it.
Yeah, no,
She
I
has watched it.
have 2 sisters and my mom.
Okay, so tell them, I guarantee you 100% they have
Mm.
watched it. And they've watched it for like hours, because you can't just watch one. They're very bingeable shows. People binge them forever. So anyways, so that was fun. And then I just was like, okay, this is really hard and I need to be home. So I started Necessary Media, which I said to Jeff, the reason it's necessary is because I have to keep creating, but I can't be a gun for hire anymore. So it's my company. I just thought, oh, this is necessary because it's necessary for me.
Question.
I love the name.
All these that show you were doing with the wedding dresses. What was that?
Yes. Oh, Say Yes to the Dress.
Say Yes to the Dress. You have to fly out to other locations.
So the first season that I was on there, we didn't, and it shot right in New York, 20 minutes train ride from my house. So I thought, oh, this is perfect mom job.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, and then the next season they changed it and we had to fly. So I couldn't escape the travel, and it was hard. It was hard. So not mom friendly, and I understand. I was thrilled to have done. I think we did a lot of episodes. I can't even remember. So it was a gift. I was so honored to be on there, and then it just propelled me to start my own company, which is good. Because now I'm talking with you guys, and
So now with Necessary, you kind of switched the kind of work that you were doing to what you're doing now, right? You moved more to like commercials and working with, from what I understand, small businesses and creating commercials for local businesses and content like that.
Absolutely. I create for nonprofits. I create.
Okay, gotcha.
Now I get to choose the content
Cool.
I create, which is really exciting, and I'm super passionate. I'm super liberal. I'm super passionate about women's rights, about everybody's rights, basically. I think it's time. There's still so much work to do in our country, so that everybody can be perceived as equal, can have equal opportunities, can not be judged by their sexuality, their skin color, their accent, whatever it may be. And especially, and I feel as a female, for so long, men have written and directed what women think and say. Right. So I was raised on all movies that every woman pretty much in them said what a man wrote. Right. And was filmed by men. And it was not, and I'm not saying that there aren't classic movies, but that's enough.
It's not a reflection of reality.
It's not and there is a difference. A female will when Wonder Woman came out, and the success of Wonder Woman, and just even, it's directed by a woman, and you can see her costume isn't as revealing. The camera angles aren't about bodies and boobs and but it's true because this is a different lens.
Showing Absolutely. The characteristics, not the physical attributes, not just filtering society to one thing, and then it's also on TV, and we're blasted with images and all kinds of stuff, and then you get this result as a collective nation where there's taboos, there's stigmas, and there's institutional racism in some cases, and there's feminism in some cases. Yeah, I totally agree with you. You see it in Hollywood, and I've seen like this year and last year. These are like the first few years where you start seeing a lot of more female actors winning stuff, a lot of more directors. So I've seen there's a change.
Absolutely. And women are being held to a male gaze standard, right? So so often in TV, the way a man or director or writer or all of them want a woman to be is the way she is. And then we as a society consume that, and then we believe that, and then it's perpetuated. And that is, and it's not just women, it's races, it's, minorities being the sidekicks all the time, never the hero, women being coming in as the tool that just kind of is there for a minute or two and then out of the plot because it's not really about her. It's just about it's so lopsided and in many times very problematic. And raising a daughter, my daughter's 8 now, and raising a young mind, I don't want her to feel like she's just a plot point over here, to the white male storyline. Like that's not, but that is how society learns and sees itself, is through its stories, right? So we have to even up our stories. So now, as with Necessary Media, I've taken on a lot of nonprofits, female nonprofits. I did promotional work for a company called Run, Vote, Lead. They trained women to run for office and win.
Wow.
And that was amazing. I also did a series called The Power of Choice, a series of videos interviewing women who have had abortions to destigmatize abortion, and to, right now more than ever, old white men want to tell us what to do with our bodies, and that is not cool.
Yeah.
We are smart human beings who can make choices over our own bodies, what's best for us. And these pieces that I did, I have a range of women, from a mom who already has 2 children and a third. It's a parenting decision for her to not have a third. She's going to be a better mom to not have a third, to someone who was in an abusive relationship at the age of 16 and pregnant, and her whole life would have been different if she, and it's her choice to choose herself and her life. And so getting these stories out is Necessary Media as well to me.
I love that. It comes full circle at that point.
Yeah. And then I also do, but what's cool about being your own boss is I can tell these really awesome stories about women, and then I can go do some really badass workout videos for this high-end boutique gym in New York that's all just like muscles and sweat. Come on. It's like the best.
Yeah, of course. So I guess we'll transition, because we're getting at the 30-minute mark, and I want to really talk about the whole virtual directing, but let's kind of step back and talk about how you got to that point. So obviously everything happened with COVID. At least with me personally, a lot of things that I had booked were all canceled. So how did it affect you with how you run Necessary Productions and all of your stuff?
Yeah, 2020 was looking to be my most successful year. I had so many shoots, you guys.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And then, and there's a bunch that you just can't do virtually, because they center around conferences, big conferences and events. So I get it. But my client who runs, I'm going to give a shout out to the Training Lab in New York City. If you guys are ever in New York City, check them out. Best workout in the city. They wanted to get ahead of this COVID. The gym was shut down. They wanted to show everybody that they still could take classes online, and they reached out to me.
Wow.
So I'm gonna pop up the video. Give me 1 second.
Okay, awesome.
There we go.
The Training Lab, NYC.
Yeah.
So here we go. No, there's no audio, but this was the video that you created and you directed virtually, correct?
Absolutely. So some of those glitches are actually put in there on purpose in post. They're an effect, because we wanted this. The point of this is that you can take virtual classes and that they can kick your ass just as hard during COVID.
Yeah, it definitely proves that point.
Yeah. So those glitches you see were put in there on purpose in edit and was part of the vision. But yeah, it plays on their Instagram. I know it was up to over 600 views not too long, very soon after releasing. And it got people pumped. If you can hear it with the music, if you go to the Training Lab NYC's Instagram, you can hear it with music, and it pumps you up. So like even
And
if you
just a
want
note too, in
Yeah.
our description on both Facebook and YouTube, we actually have the link to this video so you guys can watch it with sound. We also have a link to Lani's Instagram, to her website. So definitely give her a look when we're all done, because it's great to be able to watch it and experience it the way it's meant to be experienced. And you also get a little bit of a behind the scenes look at how this was created. So it's cool all around. So sorry for interrupting. I
No,
just want to let
no,
everybody
thank you
know
for
that.
the plugs. We'll take
Yeah, no
them.
problem.
But basically what we did is, so I had my camera guy, and he is also an editor. He has a 4K screen. I'm not super techie, but he has a 4K editing monitor. So that was a Zoom class. And we would make some of the people in the Zoom class full screen and record off the monitor through QuickTime. Right. So it's just like recording. And then we would go back to the, so we would select, it was basically, if you can imagine, like a live sports broadcast directing. So I'm watching through FaceTime my editor's screen, and he's got the class with like 20 people, and I'm telling him which one to make bigger. So we can, so that we can have those shots full screen to edit with, if that makes sense. And then the coaches talking. I don't know if you remember, we might have done this with you, Diego, but like at the end of the class, I had the coaches give me the lines that they're saying individually, and we recorded those full screen. So all of these and stuff like that we did after the class. And then, but all the class is real. So, and then we edit it together. We put graphics at the top, graphics at the end, sick, like awesome music from Soundstripe. I'll give them a plug. We love Soundstripe, right, Jeff?
I love Soundstripe.
Right? We love Soundstripe. And we were able to turn it around in 24 hours. So, this is great for gyms because they're really affected by this. It's a really powerful way of getting people amped and showing them like, we're open. Here's the deal. $10, no equipment. Let's do this 45 minutes. Let's go. And I think
Lani, like with being at home, I'm like anxious, and a lot of people, they have stress, they're thinking about so much, and you need to exercise. You have to. That's therapeutic, or meditate or breathe or something that's healthy. And just watching that video, I'm like, I want to do it. It's like $10. It looks amazing.
It's absolutely moving. I think that's the goal, though. It wants you to get up off your butt and take the class, and it does it. It does it very effectively.
Right. And I think, that now more than ever, and here's the thing, I get it. Clients, people don't know their budget. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know what we can pay for. I mean, the good thing about virtual directing is you don't have a whole crew there. Right. You're not paying for a whole crew. So I'll just tell you, that was under $1,000 for that video. Way under.
Yeah. Well, especially when you don't have to have, like, everyone's their own cameraman at that point. So everyone's providing their own camera feed, and it's really just you and your editor.
Right. Exactly. So, and there's no lunch for the crew. There's no anything. Pretty easy. So these are affordable. They're great ways because people are on their phones more than ever. You need content more than ever. So I feel like, I wanted to give people something, but that's one way. The other thing I've been doing, I haven't done yet, but I can report back, but, all my film contacts, like, we're all kind of talking and like, what can we do? And if there are filmmakers watching, some of the ideas that have come up are, if you have a GoPro and you have a client who needs something more professional looking than recording a Zoom video off a computer, you can mail them a GoPro and they can set that up. They can use their iPhone audio app to get a backup audio. Although I think GoPro audio is pretty good. They can
I'm with you there.
Yeah, they can film on that. They can upload to Dropbox, and we can edit. We can be on Zoom live with them and help them with their lighting. If I have a client potentially that has a bigger project, I will just directly like send them some tripods and stuff directly. They can hold on to them till afterwards. You know, there's ways. There's ways it can be done, and it just means a little bit more. The client has to control the camera, but if you give them a simple camera, even their iPhone 10 or iPhone 11,
it could work.
I'll give this to your viewers. My camera guy is testing it out, so I don't know yet, but it's called Filmic. Have you guys heard of Filmic?
Yeah, of course. Filmic Pro.
Okay. So I am
very good app. Very good app.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. The reason it's great, besides the fact that you can like put filters and do everything, it basically lets you use your iPhone, the video on your iPhone, to the full capability.
Right.
So it doesn't have the limitations.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It unlocks like your DSLR capability.
Basically, yeah. It gives you the highest quality iPhone video you could get possible out of that phone, out of every iPhone, pretty much.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's $14.99. I know there's in-app purchases, but that's still nothing. If you were to buy that for your client or have your client download it, then right there, all they need is their phone.
If you have a more, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true. So, I think it can be done. We just have to communicate, like just get the hive mind together and talk with other filmmakers, do things like this, share ways that you think it can work. And edit. I mean, editors have always been alone. So, editors are like, what? COVID? This is my life.
They're like, hey, you give me work. I'm ready. I'm here.
Working since last year, editing.
Yeah. I love to go. Thank you for having the palm tree in the background. I do. I was counting on you for that. Yeah. Thank you. I'm serious. Thank you so much.
Been around it, but whatever. It's there. It reminds me.
It's there. It's flapping. It lets us know it's windy out.
I love it. I need it.
You're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York.
Okay. How is it? How does it feel there?
It's crappy today, so that's why I'd seen the palm tree and.
No idea. It's been the most beautiful weather here in South Florida, and
the entire quarantine.
You go to the beach, they pick you up, which is good. It's good. It's just it sucks. It's sad. It's sad seeing this, and we're stuck in here.
Yeah, stuck inside. But what are we gonna do?
Official workout or do something so I can also
check them out.
Yep.
You will not be disappointed. You will burn. I mean, people burn like, I don't know, 1,000 calories. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you're directed live by a trainer. They're telling you what to do, and they can see what you're doing.
They can see what you're doing,
which is awesome.
And they're just the most motivating, awesome people. Like really, really badass.
And so one minor thing I want to touch on before we go. So I didn't realize you're doing podcasting as well.
Oh my gosh.
So we do a podcast at Jazz Is. So I kind of understand, the whole podcasting sphere. We do them like once or twice a month, and it's all jazz related. But what's the experience like for you producing these podcasts?
So it's the same client. And it was just out of a fluke. He was like, I think I want to do a podcast, and it's a great marketing tool for your business.
Yep.
Right. Because, but he's obsessed with fitness, like obsessed. But what he wanted to do was share kind of the behind the scenes, like the stuff that we don't always hear. Like, for example, our first episode was being female in fitness, and he has 4 female trainers talking about the difference. And it's kind of eye-opening, guys, the double standards, the stuff. And I think what's great about it is it opens you up to things you may not have noticed as a male or a female. And also it allows you to be a better citizen in your own gym, right? So if you listen to this, you're going to be a better person next time, because now you're way more aware. And then the next one we did was training reality versus Instagram, right? Because he wants to pull and he has 4 personal trainers who talk about, what it's really like besides the sexy pics and the thousands of followers. And it's so eye-opening to have people talk candidly about image versus reality. And so anyways, he started this as something like a passion, and also it's good marketing for his business. And for me, it's very much like doing a TV show. So you need the intro. You need the intro, like, hey, this is me and this is why I'm doing it. You need some cool music. Then you need, like, it was all the pieces just without the hard part.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why we started one, because it's like,
right?
You know, we have people like Don Cheadle come on, because I don't know if you know, he acted in a movie. I forget the name of it, but it was basically about Miles Davis. And so it's easier to get some of these guys to come on when they're like, hey, listen, you don't have to be in front of a computer. You don't have to have a camera. Like, let's just talk. Let's have a chat. And I feel like people are more open when, you know, it isn't all eyes on them, where they could just speak how they want to speak and talk how they want to talk, and just be open. I think it's easier when it's audio only.
Yeah. And I know that you know, in New York, you're on a train a lot, you're commuting a lot. Like, it saves me to listen to. I just love listening to, whether it be comedy or, you know, I just took up running, so like running podcasts or meditation or, you know, whatever it may be. I think it's just fascinating to be taken to another world and just visually turn off and just listen and have it just go right to your brain.
It's amazing.
No, I'm with you.
That's like,
well, Lani, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. This was an amazing conversation. It was really enlightening. I love being able to hear about the virtual directing, because it's something I've always thought of that could happen, but I've actually never put it into practice. So it's great to see you put it into practice and actually do it successfully.
Thanks so much. And anyone, and I think just reach out to me. Like, people just, it's all about getting together. As you know, filmmaking, anything creative, the more minds, the better. And so we're all problem solving right now. We're all trying to figure it out. And I'm happy to share what I've been able to think up and what people have shared with me. And just talking with you guys, this is awesome to see. I just feel like you're like my sons who grew up so successful. Look at you two.
Well, thank you again for joining us. I mean, it was an absolute joy to have you on. And you know, Diego was like, when I told him that you were coming on, he's like, Lani's, how did you even get her?
Yeah, I was surprised. Like, how did that even? But no, this has been so insightful for me, the whole directing part, and what you're doing with the virtual is creative, it's innovative, and in a time where everything seems like it's stopping, you're not letting that knock you down. You're going past those barriers and being creative, and that's what we need: creative energy to get through this in a way that, even after it's done, this is something that we can still use. This new way of doing things virtually and using the technology we have in a way that's smart and fun and creative. So really cool you're doing that. I'm going to check out that video. And I was going to ask you, you know, it would be cool for the people that are watching this video, and if we could find the video that we did with you for the travel channel stuff, we can find that and put it up. That would be so cool.
And Diego's asking me, he's like, can you find that? And I'm like, man, I don't know if we can.
So I have an episode, but it's at my apartment. But you know what? Let's talk offline, because I would have to get back to the city. I'm upstate New York right now, but I have an episode. They've taken them all offline,
right? Because
they sell them. So, but I don't know. Let's put our minds to it, because I actually think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it again. And Lani, we'd love to have you back on. I know I was talking a little bit to you offline about maybe doing some more roundtable filmmaking discussions. So to absolutely keep in touch and get that rolling, especially while we're all kind of stuck at home, you know?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, you guys.
Cool. No problem. All righty, guys. Well, we will catch you next time on the Happy Hour. Thank you all for joining us, and adios.
Adios.